got that cherry bomb.
Hi, Raquel. Welcome to Breaking Beauty Podcast. It's such a pleasure to meet you and have you in the studio, which is just a stone's throw away from your studio where you do all of your magic. And one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show is because I was reading in Fashionista that you are one of the next generation of status facialists. Congratulations. I also read that after you graduated from aesthetic school, you slid into Joanna Check's DMs. Joanna Check's been on our show, by the way, everybody. We're going to link to that in our show notes and on our website. So how did she react? Obviously, well.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I want to say 11:30 on a Sunday evening,
Mhm.
and she had posted a story. It was of Eva Chen receiving a treatment,
Mhm.
and there was a light panel, an LED panel over her hands, and it appeared blue. And so I just wrote to her and I was like, oh, why are you using blue over the hands? Because obviously blue is for killing acne-causing bacteria.
Right.
Like that's not going to be on the hands probably. So she responded and she said, oh, it's just the way it looks in the photo. It's actually red. And I said, oh, okay. So for collagen production, she said, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And at that moment, I was like, I have Joanna Check responding to me right
I
now.
have an in, yeah.
Mhm. I'm going to hit her up for a job. And what's funny about it is a few months beforehand, I had told my parents I was going to be leaving my career in fashion
Mhm.
and pursuing a career in aesthetics. And they were like, are you sure? You've spent, like 7 years building this career. Do
Mhm.
you really want to do that? And I said, let me tell you about this woman named Joanna Check. She charges, at the time, it was $850 for a facial.
Mhm.
She's world renowned. She works with top brands, has top clients. I want to learn from her. I want to
Mhm.
work for her. And, that's how I'm going to do it. So
Mhm.
then when I got a response from her right away
Mhm.
and asked her for a job and she said, sure, send me your resume. I
Yeah.
was like, this is crazy. And about a month later, I was working for her. And I called my parents and I said, remember that woman I told you about?
Yeah.
They were like, we're not that surprised.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
The power
Yeah.
of shooting your shot.
Exactly.
I love Joanna, by the way. She's just her humor on Instagram, and like I imagine she'd be great to work with.
I learned so much. I mean,
Yeah.
it was 4 years. It was super intense, but I learned a lot. I
Mhm.
was the lead esthetician. I managed both studios in Dallas and New York. So it was
Mhm.
Right.
really an amazing learning experience for me, for
Right.
sure.
So you've had your face slapped by the Joanna Check.
Just once.
Just once.
Amazing. And so who are you wearing today? What are you wearing today? I have to ask. I don't normally ask, but let's do this.
My sweater is from Simone Rocha. She's my favorite designer of all time.
Love.
T-shirt is Muji. These are like my
Yeah.
favorite tees.
Mhm.
This skirt is from a designer called Duan Jakari.
Okay.
I think he's based in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Naomi Elize from Vogue, she was wearing the skirt when she came into the studio one time. And I was like, I need that.
Right, right.
And then Rick Owens Birkenstocks.
Nice.
That's the look.
Love it. Okay, well, today we are going to be tapping into your aesthetics expertise, and the topic is treatments. We're doing a bit of a treatments 101 because I feel like we've done a lot of, building your skincare routine in terms of the basics. A lot of people have that down. So what constitutes a treatment versus just like the bare necessities in your routine? And does everybody
Mhm.
need one?
And then we're talking about at home, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a treatment is going to be something that's a little bit more targeted.
Mm-hmm.
You can use all targeted serums and stuff like that for your kind of basic at-home skincare. But a treatment is something that you're not going to be doing every day. Maybe you'll
Mhm.
do it once a week, once a month. Maybe it's more often. Just depends on the nature of the treatment. But it's usually targeting a specific concern, and it's something that might be overkill for your skin to do every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a modality, be something like, an electrical modality, or it could be a type of, handheld tool like a gua sha or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be, let's say, a mask,
Mhm.
maybe an exfoliating treatment mask or a carboxytherapy mask, just something like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I haven't
Peel.
heard
A
of
peel.
Or a peel.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard of a carboxy facial mask, so I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah.
So basically, these are kind of like the once you get on to your 1, 2, 3 steps, so to speak, down, these are like what you're doing to level up, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, these are boosters.
Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
great. So taking your pro techniques and favorites that you use at the studio, maybe we can start with the topic of dry skin. Fall is coming. What's one treatment that you would recommend adding, like I said, beyond the usual moisturizer when your skin's getting flaky, parched, a little dehydrated?
Yeah, so I'm going to approach it from two angles, right? So there's one angle which is the exfoliation angle. Obviously, if your skin like is dry and your barrier is compromised, you don't want to over exfoliate. But if
Mhm.
you're flaking because you just have too much dry skin, dead skin on the surface,
Mhm.
a gentle exfoliation of something like lactic acid or mandelic acid is going to be really helpful. And that could come in many forms. It could be like a cream peel, kind of
Mhm.
at home mask situation. It could be a serum. But maybe that's not something that you're using every day at that
Mhm.
particular season of the
Mhm.
year. Or you could come at it from the deeply hydrating and moisturizing angle.
Mhm.
So that's where something like the carboxytherapy mask comes in. It's a 2 packets of gel that you mix together. Carboxytherapy is essentially trapping the skin with CO2, and the skin responds by producing more oxygen by sending oxygen rich blood to the skin. So it
Hmm.
increases hydration. The mask I use in studio is called the CO2 Lift Pro by Lumis. It's made in Japan. They all seem to be made in Japan. Um, and it increases hydration by 117%. It'll give you this insane glow. If you put it over your lips, they're just like plump and juicy. But yeah, it also helps distribute immunoregulatory substances in the skin. It's just really, really helpful for healing. Um, for scar reduction, for wound healing after maybe an ablative treatment.
Mhm.
So it's a fantastic product that you can use to boost your skin's health a couple times a week, once a month before a big event. You can kind of pick and choose how you want to use it
Mhm.
based on what your skin's going through at that moment.
Right.
So this is a gel that, like, is it for professional use or you can buy it for at home?
Both.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
I use it
Okay.
sometimes in treatment. It's really great to calm inflammation and redness.
Mhm.
Amazing if you have a rosacea flare up.
Okay.
Something to use at home. But yeah, you can, if someone's having an irritated skin situation, maybe a sunburn or
Yeah.
just like dermatitis,
Mhm.
this is something that they can
Right.
take home and use.
I want to ask you about pores. What would be a treatment that you would recommend that you find is like the most effective for helping with the appearance?
Yeah. So anything texture related with
Mhm.
the skin, whether that's pores, wrinkles, scars, even, um, it correlates with your collagen and your elastin,
Mm.
right? If you think of the collagen and elastin matrix as like a trellis, right? Everything is cross linked. It's like
Mhm.
creating this really strong structural support. As we age, as we're exposed to UV and other environmental factors that break down those proteins, the trellis kind of starts to crumble.
Mhm.
And so that's when you start to get, wrinkles. That could be from expression, from repeated movements. It could be from, like I said, those external factors that are just causing that to break down. But that's when you start to get those little valleys, right?
Mhm.
Because you don't have that structural support. Pores, you can kind of change their appearance, I would say, by increasing your collagen production. So these are
Mhm.
going to be things like vitamin A, vitamin C, red LED is amazing. Those are kind of like the three primary things that you
Mhm.
can incorporate into your routine on a daily basis in most cases that are going to help with that. You can do professional treatments like microneedling is really
Mhm.
fantastic for increasing collagen production. I wouldn't recommend doing that at home. But, so these things are just going to help boost your collagen production. Obviously, after the age of about 30, you're losing 1 to 1.5% of your collagen every year. In the first 5 years of menopause, I want to say it's either 30 or 50% of your collagen just kind of drops off.
Crazy, crazy.
Then it levels back out to the
Yeah.
1.5%.
Let's get specific. When it comes to red light, we've talked about that. We actually just did a whole
Yeah.
episode with Dr. Dennis Gross. People can go back and listen. We will link to that in our show notes as well. But what's the vitamin A? What's the vitamin C, the go to that you would be like, these are the ones to use at home?
So my absolute favorite ingredient of all time is vitamin A.
Mhm.
To me, it is non-negotiable. It is the
Mhm.
most essential molecule for skin health. My favorite brand for vitamin A is Environ from
Mhm.
South
Okay.
Africa. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's been
Mhm.
Yep.
around for over 30 years.
Mhm.
The founder, Dr. Des Fernandez, is a genius, and he did a lot of pioneering research on vitamin A and on
Mhm.
microneedling. Um, but vitamin A gets a really bad reputation
Mhm.
because people think retinoids, they think skin irritation, redness,
Mhm.
dryness, peeling, all that stuff. Um, that's really only if you're using a derivative that is too irritating for your skin, like a
Mhm.
retinoic acid or sometimes a retinol, which is the alcohol derivative,
Mhm.
or if you're using too high of a concentration.
Mhm.
And your vitamin A receptors in your skin are compromised from a lifetime of UV exposure, and you
Mhm.
haven't been supplementing with topical vitamin A that whole time. So your receptors are basically shot. They don't know
Right.
what to
Mm.
do with it. That's what gives you the retinoic reaction.
Mhm.
So it's important to use small amounts, low concentration of a skin safe or skin's, like an
Mhm.
easy to absorb
Mhm.
derivative of vitamin A, like retinol palmitate,
Mhm.
retinol acetate, and retinol propionate. These are the three ester forms.
Mhm.
Very, very gentle. They're lipid soluble, easy to get into the skin, but they're
Mhm.
the storage form. So your skin converts it into retinoic acid as needed. If you start with a low concentration in a gentle derivative,
Mhm.
you'll boost your receptors, you'll develop a tolerance, and then you move up. So that's why I love
Okay.
Environs, because they do it all in this step up system.
Oh, I see. So
And
they have different levels.
yeah.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
you just go at your own pace. I mean, use 2 bottles of each one
Yeah.
before you move up. But if you need to stay on one for like 3 or 4 or 5 bottles, then that's
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah. So it's a serum, is it? Or
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So
Okay.
this blue and silver one here, that's my
Okay.
absolute favorite one.
Okay.
I'm on the
Okay.
top level.
But yeah, you've graduated.
Vitamin C is really helpful for collagen synthesis
Mhm.
as well. Um,
What's the fave?
well, actually, Environ has vitamin C in all of their vitamin A
Oh,
products.
interesting. It's a
Mhm.
twofer.
So it's actually a three-fer because you have vitamin E too. So you get this like perfect trifecta of antioxidants, and they're all
Yeah.
loaning each other electrons, keeping their activity going. So you're not sort of using up the antioxidant to fight the free radical, and then it's like dead. Um, they keep it keeps working
Mhm.
basically longer. So I don't typically use a separate vitamin C. Sometimes I
Mhm.
do if I'm trying out a new product. I really like the C20 Plus by Neova. It's really nice. It's in a kind of like an oily base, so it gives you this like, beautiful glow.
Hmm.
Does smell like hot dogs because it has ferulic acid in
Right.
it, but I think
Right.
we're all used to that by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a vitamin C is great. I definitely recommend using them in conjunction with one another, especially if they're in the same formula. And then red light.
Right.
That was the other. I mean, red light's amazing.
Mhm.
I'm a huge fan of LED. The way, I'm sure you guys know this, but the way that LED works is the different wavelengths correspond with the different colors that we see in the visible light spectrum. The wavelength is absorbed by different cells
Mhm.
in the skin, and it sets off a chain reaction that causes the desired result to happen, right?
Mm.
So blue LED, for instance, is absorbed by the sebaceous gland, um, and produces singlet oxygen. So that's what's killing that acne-causing bacteria. Red LED is absorbed by the fibroblasts in the dermis, which are the cells that secrete collagen and elastin proteins, and so that's why it's creating collagen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And what's your favorite ingredient for tackling those pores? I know we talked about sort of like aging pores, but if you're a lot of people just are very self-conscious of their pores, feel like they're, clogged or whatever. So what's sort of your favorite thing for keeping your pores just clear for a treatment?
Yeah, I mean, a beta hydroxy acid
Yeah.
is definitely going to be the best
Yeah.
thing
Do you
to
have a favorite?
the Neova 5-second daily peel
Mm.
pad. They're these great little individual peel pads. They're alpha, beta, and hydroxypenocolone retinoate. So it's
Hmm.
a stable retinoid derivative. Those are really nice. They don't feel tingly, which is lovely. I know
Yeah.
some people love the tingle.
Yeah.
Those are like the P50 stands. P50 has salicylic acid
Yes.
in it, so that works too. I mean, glycolic is like the king of like
Yeah.
the tingle, right?
Yeah.
So like your lactics and your mandelics are going to feel a lot more gentle.
Yeah. For
Right.
sure. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's say a client has hormonal acne. They can't get in to see you for a while. They don't want to, go on Accutane or the pill. What would be your treatment that you would say, this is the best option for you then?
My favorite treatment for cystic blemishes in particular is the Cebu mask from Environ.
Mm-hmm.
It's intended to be used as an all-over mask, so that's why I kind of bring up what grade are we working with. If you have more severe acne, you can use it as an all-over mask a couple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
If you just have a couple random spots here and there, I like to use a tiny, tiny amount as a spot treatment because
Okay.
it goes clear, so you can use it under your moisturizer, under makeup.
Mhm.
I'll put it on in the morning as soon
Yeah.
as I feel the spot kind of, you feel that
Yeah.
painfulness
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and it kills it. It's amazing. It doesn't dry out the skin, so you don't have to deal with any scabby situation.
What's in it? What's the secret sauce?
I mean, there's tea tree, there's salicylic, there's there's a bunch of stuff in there. I can't remember all the ingredients off the top of my
Okay.
head, but
That's
they have
the
an
one.
entire line.
Yeah.
So if someone has more severe acne, I'm going to put them on the clarity
Yeah.
line
Mhm.
because
Right.
all the steps, it's amazing. It's gotten people clear skin without having to resort to Accutane.
Yeah, I love
Wow.
that. And obviously I think we're seeing this moment now where people are maybe laying off the injectables a little bit. But at the same time, people still want to have like plump lips,
Yeah.
So do you have any treatments that are really targeted for the lips that make them look really luscious, good, like you've been to see a derm, but you've never seen a needle?
I would say using microcurrent.
Mm-hmm.
I know that New Face has the Fix, which is like the
Yeah.
little,
Mhm.
mini eye and lip thing. They have the eye and lip attachment. Pretty much any microcurrent device, you can use it just around the muscles of
So
the
you're
lip.
putting the prong attachment is 2 prongs, and where are you using them?
So you can just use it all the way around the
Okay.
lips. With the
Mhm.
at-home microcurrent, you don't know kind of which is the positive and the negative, so you're not really sure which direction the current's flowing. So
Mhm.
I would just kind of go all the way around.
The perimeter of the mouth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
With a professional treatment, you know where the current's pulling,
Right.
so you
Right.
can place the probes appropriately.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
But that's something, how often do you need to use it to actually see results?
I mean, you should be using it 5 to 7 times a week
Yeah.
initially.
Okay.
But it 100% works. People always ask me,
Mm.
does the New Face really work? Does the
Yeah.
whatever, zip, whatever, does it work?
Mhm.
It does. It
Mm.
does. It
Okay.
absolutely works if you use
Mhm.
it. If you're
Okay.
consistent.
And sagging, is it also all about kind of microcurrent, or is that was there a different treatment you'd recommend for that? Because that's tough to do topically,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, it is. I would say, microcurrent is kind of like that's the best you can do with your at home.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I know there's radio frequency devices
Mhm.
on the market. I'm a little conservative with heat-based treatments
Mhm.
personally. I have melasma, I have rosacea. I just don't want to mess with heat. So I can't tell you about the radio frequency stuff if it works. I
Mhm.
would probably go to a professional for something that's really
Mhm.
skin tightening or like for lifting. But
Yeah.
microcurrent, safe for everyone except for pregnant people, people with
Mhm.
epilepsy and pacemakers. But you can absolutely get a lift with it. It really is all about expectation though, right? Like
Mhm.
nothing is going to give you a facelift unless you go and get a facelift.
Right.
So if we're talking about at-home treatments, you're going to get maybe a noticeable difference, but it's going to be minor. You're still going to look like yourself. You're not going to look 10
Yeah.
years younger.
Mhm.
Any device that tells you that it's going to look like you had a facelift is lying. That's
Mhm.
just simply not possible.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Bummer.
I
Gra-
know. it
Can't fight
sucks.
gravity,
Damn it.
Totally.
That's just gravity.
What about the neck area? Have you ever seen a neck cream that actually works?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one?
Auteur.
Oh,
Do you know
okay.
Auteur?
I've heard of it, haven't used it myself. AUTEUR. You are
Yes.
to use. Yeah.
From Germany.
Yeah.
Super, super high tech. Very like incredible next generation peptide technology. I'm obsessed. I love it. Their eye cream is my absolute favorite eye cream on the planet, the only one that works, in my opinion. Their neck cream is great. It has hydroxypinocolone retinoate, so stable form of vitamin A. It has liquid oxygen. So this is oxygen delivered through perfluorocarbons. Perfluorocarbons are a synthetic gas carrying molecule. They're used in industrial, settings as well as cosmetic, totally safe. But it delivers oxygen. So that is going to increase your cell metabolism. It's just going to like boost your skin health. And then it has tons of ceramide. So it's this like beautiful, rich formula that just deeply moisturizes. And it also has neuropeptides. And who doesn't love? I love a neuropeptide personally.
Now, are we talking about lines on the neck or sagging of the neck or both?
Well, lines, just kind of general skin health, so like density of the skin, firmness. But, like sagging, well, is it sagging because of the underlying structures or is it sagging because the skin's just like a little bit crepey? You can only really, with topical cosmetics, address kind of the more superficial concerns.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it help with all the lines you get in the décolleté, the fan we get?
It'll help, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to completely solve it, I would
Right.
say. For people who have larger chests who who don't want these lines, there's this funny like breast pillow. Have you guys ever seen
Yes,
that?
I've seen this.
I haven't.
I think it's made by Sleep and Glow, the
Okay.
like beauty pillow maker.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's like this halter with like a padded like little pillow
Yeah.
that you wear, and it just like separates your boobs so that if
Yeah.
you're side sleeper,
Yeah.
they're not like smashing together and causing pain.
Oh, interesting.
So there are going to be some like, physical things that you can use to
Yeah.
help with that. But ultimately, if the skin keeps creasing in this way, then, the cream's only going to do so much.
Right.
So you have to take other
Yeah.
steps as well.
I wonder if people are trying Botox in that area.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm like not a huge fan of injectables.
Okay.
I've gotten Botox, I've gotten filler, so like
Yeah.
I'm never gonna tell anyone like don't do
Yeah.
it. And no judgment, of course, but just knowing how it affects the lymphatic system, how it affects you're silencing the message between your brain and your muscle. You're telling the muscle not to move, and that's going to have bang on effects in the rest of the face and the body. It's going to cause other muscles to overcompensate and create lines elsewhere, create overly defined muscles elsewhere. Yeah, as someone who used to get it and has found that for myself, at least with vitamin A and peels, I'm able to kind of no longer feel like I need to get it.
Right.
That's just the direction that I'm going to go in. So that's kind of where I guide my clients. But of
Yeah.
course, if they still want to get Botox, then like have at it.
Yeah.
Do you?
Okay. Cool.
Okay, what about so you'll see Botox in a bottle. Like
Yeah.
that's been talked about for years. I haven't seen it yet, but have you?
I think what they're referring to typically are neuropeptides,
Yeah.
right? Because they work in a kind of a similar way, right? The neuropeptide is sitting on the nerve receptor and it's dulling that message coming from the brain. So it's not silencing it in the way that Botox does, which is, of course, is temporary. But it's just kind of like dulling it, it's quieting the message. So that it absolutely works to, reduce the movement, reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. But nothing is going to do what Botox can do.
Yeah.
It's
Especially
just-
for deep lines, right?
Yeah, impossible. Totally impossible.
Yeah. Dark under eye circles, that's another thing that I feel like is difficult to treat topically. Is there a treatment that you recommend for that?
I would say the best thing you can do at home for it, like if your eye creams aren't working, maybe if it's not due to like fatigue, that like, a nice like cool eye patch doesn't do anything for.
Yeah.
Try lymphatic drainage.
Okay.
I have a
Ooh,
great little
the treasures are
tool
coming out,
here.
everyone.
The Lymphatic Brush by Cecily J.
Ooh.
Braden. This thing is
Say
amazing.
the name again.
The Lymphatic Brush. It was created by Cecily J. Braden.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
She's an educator here in New York.
Mhm.
She teaches gua sha facial fusion courses, so that's gua sha and herbal poultice. She also works with an educator named Ashley Jo Press who teaches Vater technique,
Mhm.
lymphatic drainage.
Mhm.
But Cecily created this device, which I'd love for you guys to
Oh, yeah.
feel it.
It's
Feels like,
beautiful.
Can I touch
yeah,
on it?
absolutely.
It kind of looks like the bristles you would see on a makeup brush, everyone, but
Yeah.
they're like they're cut so that they almost have bumps on the end.
Yeah.
And
And
it's in
it's
a
kind of like a moon shape.
half moon.
Yeah.
And so those little nubs cut into the
Beautiful.
bristles
Mhm.
as you stroke it
Wow.
over your skin.
Mm-hmm.
It mimics the passive contractions of the superficial lymph vessel. So
Hmm.
your lymph vessels are just below the surface of your skin. That's why lymphatic drainage is done with such a light touch.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And you really just want to gently stimulate the lymph vessels and the lymph nodes to push
Beautiful.
that fluid through. And so she created this because dry brushing is too aggressive for daily use for a lot of people. It's working more on blood circulation than on specific lymph drainage.
Mm-hmm.
So this you can use just on clean, dry skin. You can use it every single day. There's also a bigger version with a slightly different bristle density that's more designed
Mhm.
for the body, but you could use either on both. You just like start at the terminus here or on the collarbone with these little semicircles,
Mhm.
opening it up, and then you just drain
So you go
along the
work
neck.
from the neck, work from the ear down.
Yes. So
Along the
behind
neck.
the ear,
Yeah.
you have the profundus is the lymph node there. Halfway down the neck, you have the medius, and then at the collarbone, you have the terminus. So you always want to start by draining profundus, medius, terminus. And then you go under your chin, you have the submandibular and submental lymph nodes. So out towards the profundus and then back down to the terminus.
Mhm.
Terminus is really where all the lymph in your entire body ends up
Mhm.
before it enters your circulatory system again via the left and right subclavian veins. So this is the cleanest fluid in your entire body. It's gone through thousands of cleaning cycles at this point via all of your lymph nodes. And so this tool is fantastic because once you've drained your lower face, and the nose is amazing too, especially for anyone with allergies
Yeah.
or sinus pressure,
That's me.
cold and flu seasons coming
Mhm.
up. You just drain the nose, push it out towards the ear. Right here, you have the preauricular lymph node, pull it back to the profundus, back down to the terminus. Then you get to the eye because you always have to drain this section before you can work above it.
Right.
Right.
So you go from bottom to top, whereas you would think it's the other way around.
Yeah, you're working downwards,
Yeah.
but the movements are stacking upwards.
Right.
And so once you get to the eye, and like I said, it's a super light movement. You're barely gliding. You don't want to see any like pressure on the bristles.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Just really
You're not beating your
lightly.
face like you would with a makeup brush.
Exactly. Yeah. And you
Okay.
just pull the fluid out. And so
I have to say that looks so relaxing.
Yes.
What Raquel is doing right now, it's just like
Don't worry, everyone. We're going to show this on TikTok.
yeah.
Do a little demo. So that's wonderful. And then do you finish with the forehead?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do the forehead, basically just pull everything back down.
Okay.
And so once you get the hang of it, you can depuff your entire face in 5 minutes flat.
Okay.
But yeah, if you have edema, if you have like puffiness somewhere, especially from like colds or allergies,
Mhm.
you really have to just work the neck first. And then, you can get to that area. And you wouldn't, if let's say you're puffy around your eyes for whatever reason, you don't want to then go above it to your forehead. You want to stop with your eyes because you're basically like pushing any of this fluid down towards the area that already had that stagnation. So if someone's dealing with puffiness in a particular area, I say just work up to there, stop tomorrow. You can work back up and do more. But
Okay. And on clean, dry skin, you said.
clean, dry
So,
skin.
so it's not like one of those things where you need a vehicle like oil to move it around.
And that's what makes
Interesting.
this device so convenient. Is
Yeah.
because like I have so many clients who are like, yeah, I have whatever device, but I hate using the goo or the
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to like work into your routine. No one has time.
Mm-hmm.
We're all super busy. So
Yeah.
this, it's
So
like
you do this every day?
Sometimes
Or
I try.
what do you recommend for people?
Yeah, I definitely recommend doing it every day.
Okay. Okay.
Do it as time allows. That's kind of my
Okay.
mantra.
All right. So cold rolling is out and soft brushing is in. That's what I'm hearing. All right.
Yeah, it literally is dry brushing then for your face, kind of,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
you're doing it dry. Yeah,
Gently. Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. I believe you said you had hyperpigmentation. Did you say that?
yeah, I have melasma.
Okay, so
Mhm.
melasma, we hear that a lot from our audience. Is there anything? I'm sure you're extra motivated to find something that works really well. So, what have you found that's moved the needle for you?
The most effective treatment I've ever done for my melasma was an oral medication,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm shocked that more people don't know about this.
Mhm.
Oral tranexamic acid.
Mm-hmm.
You get it from your dermatologist.
Mhm.
Obviously, not everyone is, a suitable candidate to
Mhm.
use it, but it works wonders.
Hmm.
It's really, really amazing.
Mhm.
I've taken it off and on. Right now, I'm pregnant, so I'm not taking it. But once this baby comes, if my melasma has
Yeah.
come back, as soon as I'm cleared to use it, I will use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What differences did you notice?
It just fades the melasma.
It's
Yeah.
completely faded then,
It
kind of thing?
did. The thing is, if you stop using it,
Yeah.
it can come back. It can
Mhm.
come back from just normal hormone circulation, a hormonal event, heat.
Mhm.
Mine is super induced by heat. So, in
Hmm.
the summer, I know it's going to come back. So I kind of
Flaring
don't
up,
even
yeah.
bother.
Mhm.
I'll do the things. I'll wear my hats. Obviously, I wear sunscreen religiously,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but I haven't personally found a topical treatment that really does very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about just like dark spots from hyperpigmentation, like not melasma related? Is there anything a treatment you'd recommend for that at home?
Yeah. So I have another
Oh, back in the treasure trunk.
toy. This is the DF Mobile from
Mhm.
Environ. So this is a home version of a professional technology.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
this is a combination of ultrasound
Mhm.
and iontophoresis.
Okay.
Hmm.
This again is something that you cannot use if you are pregnant, have a pacemaker, or epilepsy because the iontophoresis is a circulating current.
Mm.
So ultrasound is, targeted. It's just in that one area, so that is safe to use. But the ionto you can't use if you have any
Okay.
of those issues.
Yeah.
But this is amazing because you apply a serum to the skin.
Mhm.
It has to be an ionizable serum. So for that reason, I recommend sticking with the Environ
Yeah.
products as they're formulated to be ionizable.
Mhm.
And then once you turn it on, you just hold it on the
Mhm.
area. It beeps every 15 seconds and you just move it to
Mhm.
overlap, in whatever the area is that you're treating.
Hmm.
And it increases the product penetration 40 times, right? So these electrical channels essentially are allowing the products to you can imagine like falling down
Mhm.
a hole, right? And then the iontophoresis is pulsed
Mhm.
and that's acting kind of like a jackhammer.
Mm.
So you have the products passing through the channels in the skin, and then you have the jackhammer pushing them down even farther. And so that way the products are able to get through the cell membrane, get into the skin cell where they can start to impact change.
Hmm. And so what's the serum? What's the ingredient there that you're jackhammering into your dark spot?
So I would use the Melifade serums.
Yeah.
It's a combination of two serums, A and B. They're sold together. They're just not packaged
Right.
together. You would cocktail those, put them on the skin,
Mhm.
and then push those in. And so you have, Kakadu plum extract. You
Mhm.
have, there's a flower extract. There's, let's see, I'm trying to remember what else. It's mostly botanical extracts. There's no
Mhm.
vitamin C in these particular
Okay.
serums, but it's all these brightening
Yeah.
extracts.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, it looks kind of like a remote for your TV met a Clarisonic, sort of.
Yeah.
Like it's got a bit of
It's got a metal head on
a
it.
metal head instead of
Yeah.
a brush. Yeah, at
Mhm.
the top. So,
Mhm.
okay, cool. Before we let you go, I have to ask you about sensitive skin, like rosacea, redness, and what the treatment would be for that, because that's my personal, axe to bear. And what's the treatment there that you think is tops?
So for a treatment specifically, I would say anything that is going to reduce inflammation, right? So
Mhm.
this is going to be your LED mask, your
Mhm.
red specifically, LED, as long as it does not heat up. If the panel or the mask heats up, stay away from it if you have
Okay.
rosacea. Anything cold. So like I do love a cryo roller for that, just for
Okay.
kind of reducing that immediate sensation.
Mhm.
Um, the carboxytherapy mask,
Mhm.
that's going to be a really great treatment. The best results I've gotten with rosacea have really been with it's all about consistency in your daily routine. And
Okay.
vitamin A, I know
Mhm.
it's shocking because, like I said, we
Mhm.
think about it being irritating.
Yeah.
Vitamin A is incredible at
Mhm.
managing rosacea
Interesting. I'm starting
Mhm.
to hear that more.
because vitamin A is helping to reverse UV damage,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
UV damage plays a part. It suppresses the immune system, right? And rosacea has uh, some of its roots in immune dysfunction.
Mhm.
So that's how I like to address it. But like if you're just talking about inflammation specifically, cold
Yeah.
or red LED, those are like the
Yeah.
first two things I would do.
Okay.
So we just have a few more minutes and wanted to say officially congratulations. You are expecting. And
Yeah.
we do get a lot of questions about pregnancy skincare. We haven't addressed it that much. So tell us about your pregnancy skincare routine. What's changed? And are you missing anything right now? Or
Yeah.
I'm
What's safe
curious
to
what an
use? We get
actual,
asked a lot,
yeah, like
right?
what a
Yeah.
Yeah.
bona fide esthetician legitimately uses when you're pregnant.
Mhm.
Yeah. So in my first trimester, pretty early on, I started getting some cystic blemishes on my chin. So
That's lovely, isn't it?
yeah, I know. I was like, I thought not having a period, I was
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
free of this.
yeah.
But luckily, it only lasted for about a month and they were pretty responsive to treatment. So, what I would do for those is the Cebu mask on the spot during the day. And at night, I would use a non medicated pimple patch. I like the
Mhm.
CosRX ones the best.
Yeah, they're very good.
I don't like it when there's like a medication in them.
Mhm.
Um, and that worked for me. So that was
Mhm.
great. I didn't have to go any farther than that. In, pre-pregnancy times, I would be blasting it with like high frequency
Mhm.
and just like killing it, but I couldn't do that. So that's what I did. It worked. After that, I would say that my skin just kind of normalized. I didn't have any particular, or so far, knock on wood, haven't had
Mhm.
any particular issues. Besides like hyperpigmentation starting to come up, nothing I can do much about that. But
Mhm.
my routine has pretty much stayed the same.
Mhm.
I obviously don't use microcurrent. I haven't done microneedling in a while, which I'm sad about, but
Mhm.
there's always time. I can do that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still using LED. I'm still using my vitamin A, my retinol palmitate.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm kind of just focusing on keeping my skin really moisturized, using my DNA repair enzymes to help reverse or, sort of prevent
Mhm.
any UV damage from becoming permanent. But yeah,
What's is that a product? What
yes,
is
yeah.
that?
That is a product from a brand called Neova, which we recently introduced into the studio.
How do you spell it?
Neova.
Okay. Yeah.
It's mostly carried in like derms
Mhm.
and plastic
Okay.
surgeons' offices. It's
Mhm.
not super popular in the spa world yet,
Yeah.
but the DNA repair enzymes are really cool.
Hmm.
The research behind them won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2015. So this is like somewhat recent
Mhm.
Mhm.
discovery, but it's these three enzymes. One of them is photoactivated, so activated by light. And what they do is they identify and repair any DNA damage done by UV exposure before
Mhm.
it becomes permanent.
Mm.
So like UV damage is like scrambling your DNA.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And if that stays in the cell and the cell reproduces, then that becomes permanent and you're stuck with it. But what these three enzymes are doing, and these are enzymes that are naturally in our body,
Mhm.
but it's basically just like helping your skin do this
Mhm.
process.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've seen some really nice results from it. My hyperpigmentation did light, and now it's kind of getting worse from the
Yeah.
hormones. So like that's just what's gonna happen. But I use that every day, just
Okay.
before I go out into the world where I'm gonna be
Yeah.
hit by UV.
Love it.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, our last question for you. I know that you are doing some really cool pop-ups in Paris,
Mhm.
and I understand that you are going to be doing some red carpet treatments in New York and LA for Fashion Week. the Oscars, the Met Gala, and it involves a forehand red carpet treatment.
Yeah.
Tell me what four hands are. Four hands better than two?
Four hands are definitely better than two. It's my two hands,
Yeah.
and then the two hands belonging to an incredible lymphatic drainage masseuse named Sheila. She's
Mm,
Brazilian. She lives in LA. She has a practice there called Sheila Beauty Center. We
okay.
were connected through a mutual client, and we did Met Gala together in 2024.
hmm
Had an amazing time. Everyone was like, wait a second, why isn't this normal? Why am I not always getting a forehand treatment? So I'm doing their face while she's doing their body.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it was just, we worked so well together. It was so fun. Everyone loved it. We're like, let's do this for every single
And
red
it's all about
carpet.
lymphatic drainage.
Yeah. So I was doing like microcurrent LED,
Okay.
some lymphatic drainage, cryotherapy, just like whatever, like my normal facial, whatever the skin needs,
Yeah.
but with the focus on the lifting, sculpting,
Mhm.
depuffing.
Right.
And she was doing this kind of more sculpting version of lymphatic drainage because, there are multiple techniques,
Mhm.
which she does do several of them. But for red carpet, she'll do the kind of sculpting and draining
For
treatment
the body.
for the body.
Are you allowed to name drop who you worked on for the Met Gala?
Yeah. So who did we see? We saw Paloma Elsesser. We
Oh,
saw
yeah.
Emily Ratajkowski.
Yep.
Margot Ambuba from Vogue came by.
Yeah.
Romy Soleimani, the
Mhm.
makeup artist.
Oh my
she's
God,
the
I
Okay.
one, she
love
came
her.
by.
Romy
Yeah.
Glow on
Yeah.
Instagram.
She's
Love,
amazing.
love, love.
She's so cool.
Well,
Yeah.
So
no
yeah.
surprise that you have a fashion following given your background. Thank you so much for coming on our show, for popping by. We're going to be popping by your studio sometime, I'm
Yes,
sure.
please. You guys have to come by for treatment.
I
Thank
want
you
to.
so
I want
much.
to.
We just invited ourselves, I
Yeah,
think.
I'm
we're good
inviting
at that at this
you.
point.
Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much for
much.
having me.
Of
This was really
course.
fun.
Of
Thanks.
course.